So we are going to call the meeting to order, and I'm going to do the roll call. Marjorie Winters, and we have Jason Levy and Joe Campolita, Don Eaton, Jason Berman, and Tom Hazel, who's the town staff. So new business, item 3, application 21-17, applicant SLR International Corporation, owner, Simsbury Public Schools, 34 Farms Village Road, replacement and expansion of the bleachers and press box in the Upland Review area. And this is SLR is here. And Kevin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Kevin Fuselier. I'm a principal landscape architect with SLR International Corporation. Some of you may be familiar with our former company, Mylone and McBroom, at 99 Realty Drive in Cheshire. We were acquired last year by SLR, but we still feel the same as the old Mylone and McBroom that has done quite a bit of business in the town of Simsbury. Thank you for having me tonight. We submitted our application last week on behalf of the high school and Simsbury Public Schools for the expansion of the existing, the replacement of the existing grandstands and press box at Simsbury High. And if you'll entertain it, I'd be happy to give you a brief presentation of what we're proposing and where the wetland impacts, upland review impacts are taking place. So if that's okay, I'll share my screen and just bear with me.
If you have any issues with sharing, I'll make sure you can.
Okay. So I'm just can everyone see the aerial of the high school campus?
Yep.
All right. So here we are at Simsbury High School at 34 Farms Village Road. The area of our proposed activity is the western side of the campus. So zooming in. This is the existing grandstand structure. Let's see if I'm not the best with this control, but let's see if I can. Okay, well, we're close. There we go. And we're in the bushes. All right, we'll stay at a broader picture. There's the existing grandstand structure. It goes back to the 1960s. If you really cram people in there, you can get about 850 spectators. There is a press box that was added on to the rear of the structure that sits above it. Again, that gets pretty crowded. Let's see if I can show you some pictures. I have some other pictures of it in use. There's an existing shed in the area of our proposed activity that would be removed as part of this project. The entire grandstand structure and the press box itself would be removed and replaced. You can't see it here, but there is a CMU cinder block masonry building, storage building beneath the structure. We don't propose removing that as part of this project, namely because you can see back behind the property line is the Hop Brook that runs along the perimeter, the western and northern side of the campus. And that is what is resulting in our upland review impacts on this project. The existing CMU structure, this is a floodplain as well. We all know that the storms recently took their toll on the field and that this area can be inundated with water. So we're not proposing on touching that structure, namely due to the floodplain issues that would come along with a new structure. But as I mentioned, this whole structure, the superstructure of the grandstands, the press box, and this shed are all going to go away as part of the project. Let me just minimize this. Do I have to reshare or can you see my PDF? Let me see if I can. Oh, it says my screen sharing is paused.
Well,
New share. Okay, I'm figuring this out as we go.
you're more technically savvy than I am, so I'll take it.
All right, so you see the plan sheet in front of you now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, this is our site survey. We did limited topographic survey of this area of the campus. We also did a property survey. We did wetland delineation of the edge of the Hop Brook, which is this thicker gray line along the top of the page. This is the property line. This is the existing footprint of the grandstand structure, the press box, the building that I mentioned that is below, the CMU storage building. And then this just shows the removals that we're proposing. So removals of asphalt pavement, removals of the shed, removals of the superstructure, And then this walkway, which is outside the running track, is to stay. This dash line that you see at the bottom represents the 100-foot upland review area for Hopbrook. So all the activities we are proposing are within that upland review. There are no direct impacts proposed to the wetland, but there will be demolition, excavation, installation of the new superstructure. The layout sheet SP1 represents the proposed upgraded and expanded structure. The seating capacity is upgraded to match the student body. It is desirable by the school to be able to put all the students in the grandstand for special occasions. And this at 1,300 seats plus accessible seating achieves their needs. The press box is also expanding to about 300 square feet. And that's to accommodate just the coaches during gameplay. I'll just share some photos here. So just, this is the existing structure. Being from the 1960s, it's not up to code. The ramps leading up to the structure are too steep for ADA access. The railings aren't sufficient for fall protection. There have been upgrades made over the years to keep it in the best shape possible, but it's really reached its life expectancy. Just while I have this up, the new structure will be removing all these existing supports and foundations. The new structure has about a quarter or less vertical supports, so less excavation will be required, and there'll be less actual structures in the upland review area. Again, that's more of a floodway improvement, but I figured I would show it while I had this image. And then just going to the reason for the expanded, here's a typical football game. The stands are full, people are standing along the fence. And then the press box with the coaches gets a little comfortable during gameplay. So the expansion will benefit both the fan experience and the player and coaching experience. I have one last item to share. We just to give a better idea of, here's the existing structure. And with the proposed new grandstand, you can see the code compliant ADA ramp that we'd have on one side. There'd be staircases leading up. And here's just a picture from the front. So staircases on the south side at the front of the structure, staircase on the north side, and the ramp on the north side for ADA access. And let's see, one more thing, if I can get it to work. And we went ahead. So if I could only figure out how to turn this. Oh, you know what? I think if I zoom in, here we go. Oh, okay. This may not work. I apologize if I can't get it to.
If you shift that north arrow, you might have a chance.
Yeah, there we go. So the model isn't the highest quality, but we wanted to show the existing and then how the proposed the new structure is definitely an expansion in all directions. But again, we feel that the construction activities along with the S&E controls, not encroaching too much further towards the property line and the wetlands, that we have minimal impacts in the upland review area. So with that, if there's any other, I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know tonight is just to accept the application, but I figured since I had this opportunity, I'd give you some additional information. And I'm be happy to answer any questions that you have. And if I can't answer them, we'll be at your next meeting with answers to them.
So I was just curious, is most of the construction taking place in the area where there is the existing pavement?
That's correct. Let me just go back to the plan since that shows the best. So if you're looking at this, this is the removals plan, and the asphalt, limits of asphalt are these hatched areas on either side of the existing bleacher. The new bleacher structure basically goes right to the edge, the south edge of the shed that's going to be removed. So that area of the shed will partially become that ramp system. Mm-hmm. Anywhere else that the asphalt's removed that's not ramp will be just restored to lawn. And then the structure goes out about the same distance to the south. So there won't really be an increase of pavement, but there'll be an increase of cover by the actual grandstand structure. Overall, there'll be less paved surfaces, but more aluminum, decking and seating.
So the corner of the structure, and I can't figure out which, the north.
North is to the right.
Yeah, the north is over there. The north west corner. There, yes, that's closer to the tree line, correct?
It is closer to the tree line with the elevated structure portion. If you can see these circles, as I mentioned, that we're going to have a lot less footings. These little circles represent the new piers or concrete foundations. So the whole area underneath is going to be open, and the proposal is just to put a protective chain link fence around it, so it can be used for storage of weatherproof equipment like hurdles and things like that used for track, football sleds, just a securable area.
And is the access to the building underneath the ramp, under the stadium, is that access from the rear or is from the side?
It's from the side. The south end has a roll-up door, and that's going to remain. The only things we're proposing, there's been some rodent damage and animal damage to the facade of that building. So we're just going to seal it up and do our best to secure that a little bit better than it is.
So nothing really goes on in the area behind the seating?
No, they currently have the existing structures fenced off on both sides and gated. And the proposal would be to contain anyone from going behind or around the back of the structure.
Well, no need for mowing or anything like that?
Well, there is manicured lawn back there between the back of the structure. I assume that they would continue to mow it as they currently do.
Is there a reason for that?
That's a question we'll have to ask facilities. Neither Jason Casey, director of facilities, or the athletic director who I've been working with on this project were available this evening. So we can ask them if maintenance is needed. Access will be needed by school staff and athletics. So, any surfacing back there will get worn down a little bit during the season.
Yeah.
And Marjorie, just so you know, I would assume that for public safety standards that the distance from the tree line and the structure might have some fire safety issues or anything along those lines.
I just want to get those onto the record.
Yep.
Because it's always nice to increase the buffer, but it'd be nice if we could look at other areas on the site to reduce the mowing. That's one of the.
Oh, I understand.
Just
sure.
Okay. Those are my questions. Does anyone have any other questions?
And if you'd like, if it's appropriate at this time, I'll just give you an update for my staff report.
Yes, please.
And it looks like Joe got booted up. I gave you a couple options in there for motions, and it was just poking around the edges and how you saw this. But the staff looked at this plan, and the elimination of more borings and putting the minimal amount of borings that they have for their footings seemed to lessen some of the impacts. Obviously, there's some extension, but as noted, it was within the already established mainly impervious surfaces. So it was kind of not a major expansion. While it did move towards the back, towards the brook, those were just footing borings. I would entertain any option that the commission would want. Obviously, we are prepared to have this ruled on at the next meeting. The only reason why I put a delegation in there was to see if this, not having had the presentation myself in full form, that if it was rather innocuous, that was an option. And if the commission does see that way, they can act that way. But leaving the CME building, the concrete building underneath, and not making any changes there, I think was a great idea from the engineers in order to not make any more disturbance to expand that building. And in keeping with the former grandstands, it is a similar structure, more ADA compliant, but within the similar footprint. with less impact. If they remove those borings and put in these new ones, they will be, as I believe was stated by the engineers, like a quarter of what was already there for the previous grandstand footings. So in all, I don't think they're pushing any disturbance outside of whatever already is maintained and or asphalt.
Jason, I saw your hand up.
About how close is it to the actual stream or wetlands at its closest point? And
Yeah, I think we put that actual measurement in the report. Let me just see if I can pull that up. I don't need to share that one.
Oh, I got the plans here, so I'll try to dig as myself.
Yeah, I was having some PDF crashing before, so.
Oh, I still work off paper. I got the 24 by 36s here.
I just feel bad with all the printing that offices like us do.
From the property line, which at its closest point looks to be within probably a few feet at the tightest point. The back of the grandstand press box is 26.5 feet from the property line. And the south corner of the grandstands is 33.7 feet. And on the north end by the ADA ramps, the back corner of the grandstands, which by all means is elevated, so just bear that in mind, the footings are farther away, is 15.4 feet from the property line. And the tight point, which was probably less than 5 to 10 feet from the brook itself, in the wetland delineation is south of the grandstand. You're probably talking, and this is just a guesstimate, I don't have a scale ruler with me, you're probably talking 27, 28 feet, because it fans out as you move along. There's a tight point behind the grandstands, and the grandstands are straight. So as you move north and south, it gets greater in its length away from the brook.
okay.
Everything's within the upland review, though, however.
Okay, yeah. So there's enough that my only concern was, as they're building it, getting any equipment around without impacting into the wetlands. But it sounds like there's plenty of space there.
Yeah, and their ENS plan calls for a full silt fence to the western side of the grandstands in order to protect it from any activity while the reconstruction and demolition is occurring.
That's correct.
I did notice in the report that there was some multiflora rose. Some of the other plants look wonderful, but there was some multiflora rose. Is there any opportunity to remove those during? How much is there? And
That is a question I'll have to ask the wetland scientist that did the delineation in the report. Good thing is he lives right in town, so if he has to go back and verify it, he can go check. But I will ask that question, and I'll see what he comes back with.
okay.
Yeah.
It's always nice to have an opportunity to remove them. I mean,
Yeah, depending on the species, I know some are, more damage is done than good when you try to go after them, but
well, you can
multiflora,
cut and clean.
yeah, absolutely. If we can do that, that's not a problem.
Okay. All right.
And just for the commission's aspect in that report, I'd also like to know that the professional has stated that there will be no significant adverse impacts on the wetlands. Just to take that off of the plate, just so you guys understand that their professional says that.
But removing those multifloras.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Is this commission interested in? Well, we have a couple of questions, things we want to get back to us.
Yeah. So we might as well hold until the next meeting.
So do we need a motion to table this to next time? We need to motion that?
You need a motion to receive the application. I think this is, excuse me, I gotta flip the page here. We're application 2117, just for your reference, and you can make a motion to accept it and hold it until the next regularly scheduled meeting.
I'll motion we accept the application 2117 and hold it until the next regularly scheduled meeting.
All right, do we have a second?
I will second that.
Thank you, Joe. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, And any opposed? No. Okay, thank you very much. We'll see
All
you
right.
next
We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very
Thanks,
much.
Evan.
Thank you.
meeting.
Bye.
All right, moving on to the next item, old business. Is there any old business?
Nope, we have nothing.
All right, it's on to the general commission business. Minutes of August 17th. Do we have people who were here for that meeting?
I believe I was there.
I'll buy it.
I was not at that meeting.
I think I was acting chair.
All right,
I
good.
believe so.
I
I
believe
believe
that's
so.
correct, yes.
And Joe, you were there. I saw you in the minutes. Don, were you there? You were there?
Don, you're muted.
And Jason, were you there?
Jason ran the show.
No, Jason.
No,
the other
Jason.
Oh, the other Jason, I'm sorry. I've got my Jason. Sorry,
Wait,
excuse me.
I've got to come up. Jason.
I work with 5 other Toms. I
Tom,
understand
I
this.
know. This is it.
You gotta like wear a shirt like Jason 1 and Jason 2.
We'll have to coordinate that for next meeting.
Yeah. So, Jason Berman, were you there at the last meeting?
No.
All right. Do we have to have a quorum to?
No, you could have Jason and Joe move it
Okay.
as long as everyone's reviewed it.
All right.
Anybody can vote on it as long as you reviewed it and you're fine with it. If
All
you
right.
want to make changes, point them out.
All right. So, who would like to make a motion to accept the minutes?
I will move.
Do we have any changes? Did we have any changes to the minutes? Okay. So, all right. So, Joe, you.
I
you
will,
move.
I move that we accept the meeting minutes from the August 17th, 2021 meeting.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
I,
I abstained, I wasn't there, so I don't know. All right, so that takes care of that. Now, on to the much awaited election of officers. I know we've talked about this in many meetings, and this is the night. And I printed out the Robert's Rules of Order. So we have the 3 positions. We have the chairman, the vice chair, and the secretary, which I think is not filled at the moment. I don't think we have a secretary at the moment, do we?
It's kind of an innocuous position right now. Considering we use me or recording secretaries, it's a third fallback when the meeting doesn't have a chair or a vice chair at this point. So
All right. So, those are the positions that we have open tonight, and so the nominations will be done from the floor. I will, and supposedly we're supposed to do this at the beginning of the meeting, but this is all right. And so who would like to nominate for chairman? Should we just do it one by one? Chair? Do we have nominations for the chair?
I nominate Marjorie for the chair.
Are there, so Jason Levy has nominated me, Marjorie Winters, and for the chair. And are there any other nominations? All right, we'll do them one at a time because it gets confusing otherwise. So, so let's see. We are now. Let's see. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor or opposed? How many in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
unanimous.
Oh, thank you very much. All right. So the motion is carried. I just want to do this correctly. I've been in trouble with it before.
Mhm.
All right. So now we're going on to the vice chair. Apparently, I think Jim is serving as.
Yes, he is. And he's not here to represent himself.
No. So
he
I'm
could be-
opening it up to the
And he
floor.
could also be nominated in abstention,
Yes.
just so you know.
So I'm opening up for nominations for the vice chair.
No power grabs? Come on.
Can I throw my hat in the ring there?
You can if you would like. He's not here to defend himself, but you certainly can put yourself in there. We have a quorum.
I'll throw my name out because I've filled in when there's been vacancies for chair and vice chair.
All right. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, that was Jason. Or
Yeah.
Okay. And
It's with the name.
all right, Jason Berman has seconded. And do we have let's see, we motion and second. So are there any other nominations? All right. So I close the nominations and we will go to a vote. Let's see. Oh, if there's any discussion, that was another thing. So no discussion. So we will go to the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? All right, Jason. All right. And then we will go to the
Secretary.
secretary. So do
If
we?
it's appropriate, I would nominate myself for secretary. I've done that for other organizations, so.
I'll second. I was going to nominate you.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I mean, are there any other nominations, rather? All right, I close the nominations. Do we have any discussion? No, hearing none. Vote. How many in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, we now have a new slate of officers. It's a stressful thing. All right, that's
No worries. Oh, let me add a little more stress. Everybody who was nominated and voted in is a sitting member, not a.
Oh, I was supposed to ask if
it's
you were
not
willing.
an alternate, right?
I believe that's correct.
Yes.
Joe's not an alternate. Jason, you're not an alternate, and Marjorie, you're not an alternate.
Right.
Mr. Berman is an alternate.
And I
I
forgot
believe.
to ask if you were all willing to do this job, but since two of you nominated yourselves, I figured you were willing.
I think they're willing to step in the line of fire. They're good.
All right,
All
so
right, now we can move on.
apologies to Mr. Roberts' rules, but hopefully it was okay.
And believe me, we're not the court of law, so I think we're okay.
All right, we'll see. Let's see, and agents' actions is the next item on the agenda.
Okay, agent action. Let me take a look at that and refresh myself real quick. Yeah. Okay, this was application 2116, 17 Banbury Drive. Let me take a look at this. Oh, it's just they had an existing deck, which they were reusing the footings for, and they were expanding it by 4 piers in the upland review. The contours of the property were very flat. They were just digging 4 holes, pouring 4 piers, and erecting vertically, mainly it's a walkout, so it's kind of like a second floor. But everything vertical is not our issue. The only disturbance was 4 piers in the upland review. It seemed perfectly fine from the distances. While they were in the 100 feet, I'm seeing if I printed out a map here real quick. They were at least probably about 75, 80 feet from the wetlands, and digging 4 holes is as innocuous as your dog digging in the yard. So I didn't see any issue with it. And the project actually has been zoning compliance reviewed and inspected, and everything seems to have gone off without a hitch. There's no lawn damage or anything like that. There was no need for heavy equipment. So that went through.
Excellent. So thank you for doing that. Any comments from the commissioners? Right. So everyone's fine with that, and so we don't have to vote or anything.
Nope. I'm just informing you of what unilateral action I took on your behalf.
Thank you very much. All right, the next one is the correspondence, the state DOT emergency replacement of a culvert located at 560 Hot Meadow Street, Stebbins Brook.
You will know this as Benny's and the wine shop next door.
Mm-hmm.
During the storms, whether it was the 5 inches in an hour or the long duration storm associated with the remnants of a hurricane, the state highway, which is 10202, had a failure of their culvert. They were blowing out material, and it became an emergency repair. They came to DEP with an emergency request for repair. They were granted that. Their general aspect of their construction is to reline the culvert, not replace it fully, but they will have to do some excavation behind Benny's in order to repair some of the connection. And they will be working with the state DEP on this. It's just to let us know that they have state approval to do the process they have to do. It's an emergency. Just so you know, what you see now down there is not the culvert repair. It'll be more in the parking lot behind Benny's than it will be on the road. What you see now is the WPCA, the Water Pollution Control Authority, is doing a sewer main replacement in the shoulder of the road, and they will be replacing the sewer through that area, and that also was on a state level. And it's also not going to be what you see after that, which is the bridge replacement at EBAD, where you see that there's cement on the road as you cross through there, heading south or north. That will be another project that was pushed a little bit off schedule due to the storm water repair, because they're in the same vicinity and they can't have any traffic stoppage on that road. It would cause a major problem. So what you're seeing now is WPCA working on their sewer replacement. You will see some excavation behind and around Benny's for the stormwater. And then you will see the full bridge replacement that's going to happen with the state DOT over the main brook by EBAD. That's just a little more north of where the Stebbins Brook pipe replacement is. So it couldn't have all happened at once, but it did. Somehow it all happened at once. And believe it or not, I am very happy to say that the state looked at it and they saw how all the things were going to align, and they've kept it so they're not all on top of each other. So this, for the public and the safety of traffic, should be as minimal as possible. I believe the bridge replacement is going to be the biggest disruption that you're going to find as a resident of Simsbury, but all things have their state approvals. All things are going according to plan, and there will be periodic inspections by both myself and the floodplain manager, my boss, and by the state DOT and DEP as we go through this process.
When are they doing the bridge approximately?
It was supposed to start later this fall, but I think they're going to push it in possibly to the winter. The biggest thing about this culvert project is there will be some water diversion that they have to do, and that's where it really hit the snag with the state and the emergency approval. When the bridge goes through, there's no real disruption to flow or anything like that. They're just doing superstructure and decking. All the utilities that run under it should be maintained or upgraded at that time. There may be some armament of the end walls in order to keep any scour down from the bridge, because I believe there was some degradation of the concrete end walls on the bridge. That one I have to dig a little bit more in when they get closer to it. I'm not sure if I had a full correspondence from them on that. I'll have to dig that up and disseminate it to you so you have all the details. But this one was a definite emergency due to the storms. The bridge was supposed to start earlier, but I think DOT, because of the emergency, has delayed that by a couple of months.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds like it's going to be fun for traffic.
The bridge, they're supposed to maintain alternating traffic. I don't know how, but they might take the bike path for a little bit, but they're supposed to maintain the bike path. So if they have to crib that over the bridge to make a diversion so that traffic can get through, they got many highly paid engineers to figure that out. I'm not that guy for shuffling those cards.
I am totally going all the way around that every day.
Yeah.
I go north to get out of town, so I'm happy.
At least you can go Bushy Hill or you can go River Road, and
Yeah, I think people will go around and get out on the Hartford Turnpike or Hartford Road or whatever that is, and they'll work their way around. It'll happen.
Yep.
It's the let go of EBAD's employees that's going to be the biggest thing. The flow of that traffic but they've been in contact with all businesses in the area to try to make plans in order to know that this is when we let out, this is when your high peak flows are. So to try to mitigate any kind of backups. There'll be night work as well, I believe, with that bridge replacement. So
Do you have any idea how long it would take to get the bridge replacement?
bridge replacement's going to be long term. I'm talking 6 to 9 months at the max.
Whoa. Whoa.
This is
all right.
not a simple project.
No.
No, the bridge is in very bad disrepair.
I'm glad I don't go that way all that often.
Well, you got to think about the increased truck traffic we've had too through that area over time. That bridge is old and it is not worn well with that increased truck traffic.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that they're fixing this.
Yes, no, it's not going to kill anybody, but at this point in time, it's in need of imminent repair and replacement.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Any other correspondence?
Nope, that's all I have at this point in time.
Okay. Conservation business. Jason, I know you wanted to talk about Jason Levy. You wanted to talk about a little bit about the rainfall.
Yeah, just wanted to have a discussion with everyone on if anyone saw new problem areas or had any problem areas that were new to them in their houses with all the rain we had being wetlands and water courses. Figured it'd be a worthwhile discussion. I know Simsbury Manor flooded at Colonial for the first time in forever, as far as I can tell. A couple people had water in their basements that didn't previous to that. We were not one of those people, luckily.
We had several active pump outs by the fire department around town. The first storm was a major erosion event because of the intensity of the storm in a short duration of time. The secondary storm associated with the hurricane was more of a flooding incident where we had Nod Road partially closed. We had Terriffill Road closed. We had parts of Riverside or East Riverside, I believe, closed. There were also some up by Simsbury Farm on Hopbrook were closed. So it was what we would consider in my division as a quote unquote 100-year storm event. And we did take pictures and make a record of it because of that. I mean, I never imagined Curtis Park flooding as much as it did. It was, I had to tell people on the Flower Bridge, I went out when I came into town at 8 a.m. in the morning. I went back out at 10:30 in the morning and it had risen 4 feet. And by the time I went back out at 1 o'clock to notice the road closures and take photos of the road closures, there was probably about, I would want to say anywhere from 4 to 2 feet of clearance under the bridge. And that bridge does not have lateral stabilization. So I had to inform the public that they need to maintain optics on that water rise. We did not meet maximum flood stages, but we did get close to that 9 to 11 foot range on the Farmington River. With that intense storm prior filling the volume of the cuts on the rivers, that secondary storm pushed it over the banks. And we really just had no place for the water to go. One thing I will say is our watershed is from the Berkshires down to Simsbury. And we were very lucky that that secondary storm remnants did not fall farther north, because we would have felt that for 5 to 7 days. If it got into the Berkshires, it would have continued to rise. So we definitely lucked out, even though we had some road closures. Outside of that, the town infrastructure handled well. DPW had some blocked culverts. They do have a few culvert repairs that they're going to have to do because of erosion around the culverts. So there's going to be some maintenance permits coming through my office in order to do those, but nothing was critical outside of basements being flooded and having to have pump outs. That's, at least from the town aspect, that's our report on what happened.
That's probably a scenario.
Can I ask a question?
Certainly.
How about, was there any notice of erosion around the bridges and stuff around the Farmington River after the fact?
From my understanding, well, first of all, a lot of our crossings are state roads. So the state would have to do those evaluations. The town wouldn't be doing them. But from what we saw, they've held up to the design specs that they have. The Pinochet Sycamore area was flooded out. The thing was with the first storm, while it was intense and very fast, the level wasn't high enough to cause damaging scour to a lot of the abutments. And the second one, because it was long duration, it wasn't a very swift moving river. It was just a high river. At this point in time, the engineering department in the town hasn't been notified by the state of any issues on their bridges. All of our infrastructure outside of a few culverts have been perfectly fine.
That's good to hear.
And I just, and Tom's the chair. It's the Gifford Pinchot.
Pinchot, sorry, Pinochet, Pinchot.
As opposed to the Pinochet. If you don't think you're honoring.
I'm married to a French woman. I'm sorry.
I thought that was cute.
To
Yeah,
give us more credit we deserve. I don't know.
I know. Interesting.
I don't know which way that goes.
I think Pinchot would be good. The
Okay.
but at least we were lucky. I don't think we reached anywhere close to the 55 flood levels.
No.
I mean, this was
I think
good.
it's higher once or twice since I was in high school,
Yeah,
No.
but not by much. That was definitely.
it was a good one. It was.
Yeah.
And we were lucky that the second storm was not as they predicted. Although it was fascinating to watch the course. It went through Connecticut and then it made a loop and then it came back through Connecticut. So instead of going up through Massachusetts, it had a. If you look at the path of the remnant of that hurricane, it really liked staying in Connecticut.
Yeah,
So-
that track that they had the night before had it pretty much running straight through the Farmington Valley, and I was like,
Yeah.
I was coming back from Philadelphia that morning, so believe me, I was watching it closely. But my boss, Mike Glidden, who's the certified floodplain manager, in his tenure of 8 years here, this is the first time that he's seen this. And he was through, I believe it was Irene down at the coast when he worked close to the nuclear power plant on the coast. And he remembers how bad that was. So he was happy to see that it didn't turn out to be what it was, but it's been the first major event in his tenure here of 8 years. So
yeah,
It was good.
we dodged a bullet with how bad it could have been.
And Joe, I was wondering if you wanted to talk about what the town's doing about pollinators.
Yes, thank you. As I'm sure you all know, and we may have discussed it before, the Board of Selectmen approved the proclamation. They've declared Simsbury a pollinator-friendly community, and which is terrific, and we really appreciate the support. We're looking forward to really getting involved. We do have a meeting with Orlando Cascio, am I saying that correctly? Casciano, to get things kicked off and talk about some native plantings around Town Hall and perhaps some other areas. And then, we'll plan, more meetings to really put a plan in place over the winter to get, kick things off. We're also involved with a project of planting native pollinators at First Church. As you know, they've done a lot of construction there because of the capital campaign. We've been discussing a big project on one of the hills there. Things are moving along. It's quite exciting. Simsbury Pollinator Pathways now a 501c3. I guess we're official now, at least according to the federal government, which is great. We're really very excited about how fast things have really taken off, the support we've received, and also just the number of people who are, understand how important it is for us to do this. There will be more to come. So thank you.
Thank you.
Has there been more monarchs than usual?
This is a better year for them.
Been a good year.
Yeah.
I know it's migrating time anyways, so you see them more, but I've been seeing a lot.
Yeah.
They vary from year to year. The Warren Nature Center does an annual butterfly count. I haven't seen the results from this year. They usually do it in July, I haven't seen. But the, you know, it's interesting how the number of butterfly species change from year to year. You know, some years you see a whole bunch. But I know a few years ago when the monarchs were practically non-existent, they've had a bad winter down in Mexico. And
Yeah.
the lovely thing about our Connecticut monarchs is they're the ones that go all the way down to Mexico.
Yeah, they are remarkable.
It's just,
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a remarkable life cycle that they have, but
And
I've seen way more in the last few weeks. Than I
it's been good. It's been good. And you know, it would be nice to think that perhaps the impetus to plant more milkweed in yards might help.
Mhm.
A lot of different things. So there's a lot of things we could do around town. I mean, I know the open space committee's been looking at farm leasing, getting organic farming on the town lots, and that we're hoping to get that finalized in the next month or so, and some other open space criteria, and we're hoping to go forward with other town policies for mowing and things like that that would facilitate either grassland birds or the pollinators. So there are lots more things coming up. So, all right. Yep. Anything else anyone wants to add tonight? All right. All right. Then the next item.